Hey, what's going on, everybody? Welcome back, Don's Hot Rod Garage. Big Don with you. Um, do a small update on the floor pan replacement on the '55 Chevy Convertible. Um, Last Sunday, I was able to get the whole entire um, old original floors out of it. So now I got to go around and either grind it or flap disc around what's good on the perimeter, and then hit it with some weld through primer. And I can support the body and probably drop the frame down, bolt the floors to the frame, and then jack it back up and start fitting it to the car. So let's take a look at it. So if you guys have not, look at that little guy. If you guys have not done a one-piece floor in one of these cars before, I don't know if I want to say I recommend it to you, but it's a big job. And I've done a lot of floors and things like that in the past, and this one's a convertible with all the extra bracing, which just adds to it. But like over here in the corners where this front brace goes and connects to your inner rocker, then there's a flat piece of steel which actually is part of this. As it goes down, it's a flat piece of steel at the front of the inner rocker, and then you have your outer rocker. So your outer and your inner pinch together on that flat steel that's coming down off of that center brace. And that little area right there is going to, if you're doing floors, a one-piece floor in a car, this area right here on both sides is extremely difficult to separate. And you can see even the pedestal right there, I'm trying to point, you got to separate that from the top of the floor. And it's, some sections is welded together, some's got a spot weld going through it. And I'm actually thinking about buying because I'm going to do the outer rockers also. I'm thinking about buying a spot welder and spot welding what I can weld, then I'll plug weld what I can't spot weld. And then all along the front of you can kind of see like little areas. I got to dolly all this back, make this all nice and smooth across here. And then clean up a little bit of it where it really had some good spot welds. But like this whole area right through here, it come right apart. The spot welds was either rusted apart or they never really got them good through there. And that's where the new floor is going to join through there, which that was easy. But even on this side, the pedestal right there and the rocker boxes, I mean, they was a nightmare to get apart. So now that we're looking at it, it's 100%. There's nothing left. All the old floor's out of it. And my theory on this car, instead of, I'll obviously pull the front fenders off of it and the hood off of it. I'm going to try to do it on the weekend. But my theory is, I'm going to have to do it on the weekend, to try to jack the body up as high as I can get it, and then kind of crib it up on the corners underneath what's left of the outer rocker panel on the right side and the left side, and then on the back crib up the quarter panels, and slowly let the frame down to where, because I don't want to have to lift the body, if that makes sense. I don't want to be pulling on it. I just want it to basically sit there and take the initial load of the frame leaving out from underneath of it, which it's only sitting on the front firewall, and on the back, the whole center of it's already support. It's either gone or it's not touching right now, because I got the front on 2x4s. The front braces are sitting on 2x4s. So my theory is to support the body up real high to where I can get the frame out and then bolt the new floor to the frame and then wiggle it back underneath there and start jacking it up back underneath the body. So once the frame and the floor goes back up underneath the body, we're going to be making good contact with several points on the car to start picking it back up to where it can start getting acquainted with its new partner, the new floors. So, and this is the new floors, but the front section I just showed you, that's all going to be real good. And then I'll do the rockers. And then the braces will sit on there. So it's going to have a lot of good stuff going on here. Like this right here, that's going to start taking the weight once the floor, once the frame and the floor start coming up, that's going to hit. These will hit on the floor. And then I'll just either sheet metal screw or clamp them together with vice grips for right now. And then the pedestals will hit the floor. The pedestal on each side will hit the floor. So hopefully this weekend it should be sitting back onto the frame. I got to get some red oxide. I want to paint the bottom side of that floor red oxide. See, and here's the other side of it. But that's what I was saying. This area right here is going to cause you some major headaches getting all that apart. Just because there's like 3 layers of metal all pinch welded together like a nightmare. But we got it all out. It's 100% ready for the new floor. And I haven't been really doing a lot of videos here lately, just because the heat's been really bad and really muggy to where, you know, once you get through work, you're shot. I mean, you're not trying to work in 90-degree weather that's very, very humid and then come out to a garage that's been sitting closed up all day long where it's about 110 degrees. Nah, we're not going to do that. But I've been working like 6 days a week to where I've only been able to work on this car on Sundays. So it's been a tough grind for the last month getting these floors out where I worked 6 days a week. And the one day I got off each week, I'm out here, you know, going to town on some old rusty, hateful metal. But it'll be all worth it when it's all done. But once I get the floors in there and get the outer rockers on it and in front of each tire, I'll probably do some work to both sides of them to reattach them to the inner rocker panels. But once all that's all done and that's all solid, then I'm going to jump on the trunk panel on the car. So it's not like it's going to get easy right away. But that's what happens when you start trying to do rust repairs on a car. You guys think that, you know, you look at a car and you're like, well, it just needs this and that. It kind of does, but it kind of doesn't, because you're going to find there's going to be, if the floors are rotted out on a car, even if they're just, you know, lightly rotted out, like you might need front floor pans or back floor pans, you got more rust than that. Once you start poking around, you're going to see that a lot of stuff is not showing no holes yet, but once you start hitting it with hammers and, you know, start separating other stuff, it starts really exposing the weakness of the rest of the metal. And I knew that going into this car. The body of this convertible, it's pretty decent, but I knew it needed floors, at least the back floors, and it had a couple bad body mounts. But really, to do it, you want to do the one-piece floor. I mean, heck, you know, just because it's a nicer job, but also all the individual braces and things like that and individual floors will cost way more than if you pieced them all together than to just buy the one-piece floor and, you know, and go for it and put the one-piece floor in it. And then one guy wanted to know how I ended up with this 55 convertible, and it was not in this shape when I got it. It was just a shell that was all tore apart. And the guy was maybe maybe 20 years older than me. I don't know. I shouldn't say that. He was older than me. I don't want to, but he had taken the car apart and, realized that it had some rusty body mounts, and the trunk has got some rust around, a couple of its mounts, and back towards the back tailpan area, it's got some rust. And I actually had a 56 Nomad at the time, and I was going to look at a 56 four-door he had listed for sale. And I got up there, and the 56 four-door, he had pulled a bunch of parts off of it. Like, the whole dash was empty, the steering column was out of it. And I told him, man, I drove a long way up here, and you've pretty much took everything that was valuable off this 56 four-door to where it's just, it might have a decent frame in it, but it was a rusty car, any little trinket, steering column, dash, anything that was valuable, you already took off this thing, man. And I knew he had this 55 when I was going up there, but he said he wasn't really wanting to sell it at that point. So I got up there and started looking at the car, the 56, and I told him, I had brought a trailer with me and everything to buy it. I said, no, I don't want it. It's not worth it. There's no parts here, It's just a car I'm going to have to cut up, It was just too rusty of a 56 210 four-door, And I said, what are you going to do with that 55 convertible? And he said, well, he's like, I took it apart. I took it apart to, to restore it, but it's more work than I can do to it, He said, by the time you pay somebody to fix the metal and do the body work and paint the car, he's like, it's more than what I want to get into. So I looked the car over, and, I seen it had the bad back floors. They looked like they had been patched, but the front floors looked really, really solid. The doors are pretty good on the car. The right door's got a little bit of rust in the bottom, but nothing major. And when you look at a lot of cars from Ohio, the ones you want to stay away from, and the ones that's got, real potential. And I told him, I'd be interested if we could come up with a price or something like that, And he didn't pay that much for this car when he bought it, because he lived in a small little town. And when he got it, it didn't have no nose on it. It was, complete from the firewall back, no seats in it, but it had the convertible top and all the convertible trim and stuff. So he said, well, I'll sell you the 55, but you're going to have to buy the 56 also. So I ended up buying this 55 convertible and a 56 four-door sedan from him. And it was like 2 trips. The first day I went up there, he made me take the 56 first, because he probably knew I wouldn't have come back for it. So take the 56 first and then come back the next night and get this 55 convertible. And he said, what are you going to do? You going to pay somebody? I said, no. I said, I'm going to build that car right in my garage, man. Whatever it needs, depending on what it needs that's going to dictate how long it takes before the car's running and driving down the road. So since then, I found the front end that's on it, the complete front end. I put a convertible top on it. I found the front and the back seat. The convertible back seats are impossible to find, because they only fit a convertible, and a lot of them are rusted out. And you can remake a 55 to 57 convertible seat from a hardtop, but I don't know exactly what it takes. I wanted to start with a good original seat. So, like, if you have been watching my channel or just stopping by today, and you see this car in this condition, you're like, well, it's pretty decent, but everybody says, are you going to paint it? Yeah, I plan on painting this car, but you'd have had to have seen what this car was like when I brought it home, to be able to appreciate where it's at right now. and it's come quite a far way. I painted the dash. It didn't have none of the Bel Air side trim. I had to find all the side trim for it. I had to find a bunch of stuff for this car. And convertible stuff is really hard to find. They don't remake hardly anything for a convertible. But yeah, so that's the story on it. It's come a long way, and you know, I knew going into it that it needed some floor work. Actually, all the cars I have, they're gonna need metal work, you know. But when I do metal work or when I do certain things on the car, I work at my own pace. I can't. If you guys got a project car, not only should you be out there working on it when you get a chance, because if you put it off, you'll never get it done. You have to drag yourself out there. But when you start working on a car, come up with a game plan in your head and don't listen to nobody else. It's your car. It's your mission to get it done. Because there's a lot of people out there that will tear you down or say, man, you know, I'd have done it this way, or I can't believe you ain't got it done yet, you know. But I don't listen to none of that. I live in my own world, which is good for me. So anyways, that's a little story on this car. The guy I got it from sold it to me because he did not want to do the metal work to it. So I guess that's a tip. If you don't want to do the metal work to a car, or you don't know how to, or just don't want to, probably shouldn't buy that car. Because if you got to pay somebody to do it, it's not going to be worth it. These prices are highway robbery nowadays. But one guy wanted to know the tire size on these. So let me see if I can find it. That's right there. It's a 245/45 ZR17. And that right there is a 17x7 Torque Thrust 2 American Racing. Yeah, I had to find all the trim down the side of it. And these things right here, you know, I see people want $300 for them 55 two-door hardtop paint dividers for each side. I ended up finding a guy not too far from me that had all that trim. And let's see here what this back size is, if I can see it. My phone's actually got a little bit better lighting. Maybe, maybe not. Yeah, it's right there. 275/40 ZR17. So 275/40 on the back, and that one right there is a Torque Thrust 2. That one right there is a 17x8. So the backs are 17x8s, and the fronts are 17x7s. So, well, guys, you get me talking, and I don't know when to stop. So there goes almost 20 minutes of me blabbering. But I got that car because the guy didn't want to do the metal work on it, everything I'm doing. And I can't say I blame him. That's some really tough work. And this car, I hunted this car down. That car come from Virginia. And that 57 Nomad over there come from Strongsville, up by Cleveland, Ohio. I believe that was a one-owner car. The guy I got it off of, I believe, bought that from the original owners. But it needs floors in it. You know, Ohio cars have to deal with a lot of elements. Alright, guys. Thanks for stopping by Don's Hot Rod Garage. I really appreciate all the support on the channel. And you guys are just we're walking down a slow path on this car right here. So you guys are just going to have to be patient. We will get it together, but working 6 days a week in raging heat, plus the most extreme work you can do on a car is metal repair. You know, you can only do what you can do. So we'll get it there. It's come a long way. Like, comment, subscribe. Catch you guys on the next video.